What's up, y'all? Welcome to Tea Time with Letitia on Gratified Grad, where it's my goal to help you graduate with gratification. Today's tea is a hydrating and calming tea. Do y'all see that lovely purple color? Like, y'all know purple is my favorite color. This tea has in it lavender, chamomile. You can see the chamomile there, the yellow chamomile. The purple color comes from hibiscus, and it also has a cinnamon stick in it. Today is also a special day because it is my birthday. Thank you so much to all of the happy birthdays that I've gotten so far. I will be replying to each and every one of you. And if you aren't aware, I am doing a month series through Yoga Lab Studios for Black History Month, where we go through and listen to the words of Black philosophers, Black influencers in history, and just, honor their words while we move and, be functional and fluid in the body. And so, just to recap on what we've done so far, I have had, who did I have first? Oh, I had Dr. Alan Leroy Locke with The New Negro. I had All About Love, New Visions by Bell Hooks. That's her writer's name. This past Monday was mental health. It was focused on mental health. And since it was President's Day, I decided to take an excerpt from our previous president, Obama, from his speech on mental health during one of the mental health seminars. And also it was a speech from Taraji P Henson, as well as some words from Michelle Obama. And this coming Monday, so that is 2-3 days from now, the final yoga session in the series focusing on Black philosophers and Black influencers in Black history will be the Nobel Peace Prize speech by Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. So if you want to join the yoga session, just go to the description of this video and click the link register so that we can do some yoga and flow. And with that, I will share the recording. So you won't get to see the yoga, but I do feel like you should definitely still see or definitely still hear the words of these people because it is important. As I drink my tea, maybe you can grab your tea and make your tea, and we can listen to these together.
We wanted to bring together folks who suffered from mental illness and families who supported them. We wanted to bring together advocates and educators, faith leaders, veterans, local officials. All of you have shown an extraordinary commitment to what is a critical goal, and that is to make sure that people aren't suffering in silence, and that we have the capacity to pull together all the resources and support and love that's out there to go after an extraordinary challenge in our society. The main goal of this conference is not to start a conversation. So many of you have spent decades waging long and lonely battles to be heard. Instead, it's about elevating that conversation to a national level and bringing mental illness out of the shadows. We want to let people living with mental health challenges know that they are not alone, and we've got to be making sure that we're committed to support those fellow Americans. Because struggling with a mental illness or caring for someone who does can be isolating. And I think everybody here who's experienced the issue in one way or another understands that. It begins to feel as if not only are you alone, but that you shouldn't burden others with the challenge. And the darkness, day in, day out, what some call a cloud that you just can't seem to escape, begins to close in. The truth is, in any given year, 1 in 5 adults experience mental illness. 1 in 5. 45 million Americans suffer from things like depression or anxiety, schizophrenia, or PTSD. Young people are affected at a similar rate, so we all know somebody, a family member, a friend, a neighbor, who has struggled or will struggle with mental health issues at some point in their lives. Michelle and I have both known people who've battled severe depression over the years, people we love. And oftentimes those who seek treatment go on to lead happy, healthy, productive lives. So we know that recovery is possible, we know help is available, and yet as a society we often think about mental health differently than other forms of health. You see commercials on TV about a whole array of physical health issues, some of them very personal. And yet, we whisper about mental health issues and avoid asking too many questions. The brain's a body part too. We just know less about it. There should be no shame in discussing or seeking help for treatable illnesses that affect too many people that we love. We've got to get rid of that embarrassment. We've got to get rid of that stigma. Too many Americans who struggle with mental health illnesses are still suffering in silence rather than seeking help. And we need to see it that men and women who would never hesitate to go see a doctor if they had a broken arm or came down with the flu, that they have that same attitude when it comes to their mental health. And we see it in veterans who come home from the battlefield with the invisible wounds of war, but who feel somehow that seeking treatment is a sign of weakness, when in fact it's a sign of strength. We see it in parents who would do anything for their kids, but who often fight their mental health battle alone, afraid that reaching out would somehow reflect badly on them. We see it in the tragedies that we have the power to prevent. I want to be absolutely clear. The overwhelming majority of people who suffer from mental illnesses are not violent. They will never pose a threat to themselves or others. And there are a whole lot of violent people with no diagnosable mental health issues. But we also know that most suicides each year involve someone with a mental health or substance abuse disorder. And in some cases, when a condition goes untreated, it can lead to tragedy on a larger scale. We can do something about stories like these. In many cases, treatment is available and effective. We can help people who suffer from a mental illness continue to be great colleagues, great friends, the people we love. We can take out some pain and give them a new sense of hope. But it requires all of us to act. And there are a few ways that we can do our part. First, we've got to do a better job recognizing mental health issues in our children and make it easier for Americans of all ages to seek help. Today, less than 40% of people with mental illness receive treatment. Less than 40%. Even though 3/4 of mental illnesses emerge by the age of 24, only about half of children with mental health problems receive treatment. Now think about it. We wouldn't accept it if only 40% of Americans with cancers got treatment. We wouldn't accept it if only half of young people with diabetes got help. Why should we accept it when it comes to mental health? Doesn't make any sense. But the good news is there are plenty of groups that are stepping up to change that. So a former colleague of mine, Gordon Smith, a former Republican senator. You've got secondary school principals who are holding assemblies on mental health. You've got organizations like the YMCA who are volunteering to train staff to recognize the signs of depression and other mental illnesses in our young people. You got leaders from different faith communities who are getting their congregations involved. And dozens of other organizations have today made similar commitments. So we're very thankful to all of you. There are other people who are leading by example. My great friend Patrick Kennedy, when he was running for re-election back in 2006, he could have avoided talking about his struggles with bipolar disorder and addiction. Second point, it's not enough to help more Americans seek treatment. We also have to make sure that the treatment is there when they're ready to seek it. For years now, our mental health system has struggled to serve people who depend on it. That's why under the Affordable Care Act, we're expanding mental health and substance abuse benefits for more than 60 million Americans. New health insurance. For many people who suffer from a mental illness, recovery can be challenging. But what helps more than anything, what gives so many of our friends and loved ones strength, is the knowledge that you're not alone. You're not alone. You're surrounded by people who care about you and who will support you on the journey to get well. We're here for you. And that's what this conference is about. That's why these issues are so important. So if there's anybody out there who's listening, if you're struggling, seek help.
Thank you, Mr. President.
You're welcome. If you know somebody who is struggling, help them reach out. Remember the family members who shoulder their own burdens and needs our support as well. And more than anything, let people who are suffering in silence know that recovery is possible. They're not alone. There's hope. There's possibility. And that's what all of you represent with the extraordinary advocacy and work that you've already done. So thank you all for being here. Let's do everything we can to help our fellow Americans heal and thrive. And now I'd like to turn it over.
That we can just continue to rise above all of the shock and the trauma and the upheaval that we have been experiencing without feeling it in that way is just unrealistic. One of the things that is getting me through is that I'm old enough to have perspective, and that's the tough thing that I think kids are challenged by during this time, is that to get through this kind of crisis and sacrifice, you need the benefit of resilience to know that things will get better. We need to talk more about mental health because everybody deals with trauma, anxiety, difficulties in different ways.
I want you to know I see you. I have your back. I am here for you. I love you so much. And everything I do is for those coming up behind me. Thank you for recognizing. I love you. Has ever had to give up, give in, fight, relent, break backs, break barriers, hold on, let go, build walls and knock them down. I firmly stand in the wake of your presence. I am filled, yes, that includes you. I am fueled by the power of your courage to win or fail. But whatever the case, keep going. I'm being honored today for the work that I'm doing with my nonprofit, the Boris Lawrence Henson Foundation. I named it after my father, who suffered with mental illness after his tour of duty in Vietnam. Our vision is to eradicate the stigma around mental health in the Black community by breaking the silence and breaking a cycle of shame. Thank you. You see, we were taught to hold our problems close to the vest out of fear of being labeled and further demonized as weak or inadequate. Our vision is to change that perception. Our goal is to normalize how we think about mental health by advocating and raising funds for more culturally competent counselors in urban schools, social workers and competent counselors and social workers in urban schools, trauma-informed curriculum in order to break the pipeline to prison, and scholarships for those young people interested in the field. See, our people don't know about this field because we don't talk about it at home. To ensure that we have enough soldiers to fight the battle. Our children experience trauma at home, on the way to school, in school, social media, TV, basically everywhere they hold space. The number of Black children between the ages of 5 and 12 who have died by suicide has doubled since the 90s.
Thanks so much for sticking through to the end and listening to these excerpts about mental health. mental health is very important to me, and I think that the more awareness that we have with mental health, the more comfort that we have with going to mental health, the better off the world will be. Take a mental health day every now and then, enjoy yourself. Hopefully, this is some information that you can take and incorporate in your daily life, or just some more tools that you can have in your toolbox for when you do need them. Thanks. See ya. Oh, don't forget to sign up for the yoga class using the link below if interested. Bye.